The Los Angeles Police Department released surveillance video connected to the recent shooting of an 18-year-old black man. The video shows Carnell Snell Jr. running in front of a store with a gun in his hand. Officials said a loaded gun was found at the scene, but said it was not fired. On Saturday, police officers attempted to pull over a vehicle Snell was in after noticing the car had paper plates. Snell and another man fled after getting out of the vehicle. Police Chief Charlie Beck said officers fired at Snell after he turned toward them while holding a gun. KMBC reports Snell is the third black man in Southern California to be killed during confrontations with police in the last week. For Newsy, I'm Catherine Beek.
This is AP News Minute. Florida officials are urging residents to prepare for strong winds and coastal flooding as Hurricane Matthew threatens to move up the East Coast. Governor Rick Scott said to take the storm seriously and to stock up on 3 days' worth of food and supplies. 2 New Jersey houses have been destroyed and 1 will have to be razed after an explosion that occurred following reports of odors of gas. It's not yet clear if anyone was injured in the Tuesday morning blast in Patterson. Maria Sharapova's doping ban was reduced from 2 years to 15 months on Tuesday. The Russian tennis star can now come back in April and return to Grand Slam play at the French Open. And the biggest names from all corners of the golf world have gathered to celebrate the life of Arnold Palmer. Palmer died September 25th at age 87. Palmer's family wanted a public service to be held after the Ryder Cup, which the Americans won on Monday. Emily Roseman, Associated Press with AP News Minute.
It's not cool to shoot an unarmed kid that says he's unarmed, and y'all shoot him 4 times in the back afterwards. They can try to gather up their story and twist it up how much they want to.
Talk to you like they didn't just kill a child.
But you fear for your life, though, with the vest on and that fucking long-ass sign, though, right? We don't want white people. We out here, guys. Put your hands up. You see that ass getting ready? Put your hands up. Oh, yeah. You can put your own people. You can put your own people. You can put your own people. Blue lives matter.
Black lives, we matter here. 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 Black lives, we matter.
These 2 friends are just half of the students one New York high school buried last month. 4 students from Brentwood High School on Long Island were found dead just days apart. The 2 young women had apparently been walking together. The 2 young men had been missing for some months. Law enforcement officers believe there was gang involvement in the killings.
We've made a strategic subject list of known gang members in the area.
But 2 weeks later, it appears there haven't been any arrests made. Community members believe the gang responsible is MS-13. Its members have been suspected of over a dozen murders in the past 7 years. According to both the New York Times and Fox News, the killings have highlighted a heated debate about immigration in the community. The immigration issue comes into play because MS-13 has roots in El Salvador, and residents told the Times an influx of Central American immigrants might be inflaming the gang's violence. According to ABC, the violence carried out by gangs in El Salvador, including MS-13, have led people to flee the Central American country. The problem is many of the people looking to leave El Salvador behind come into the United States illegally. Some of those people wind up in MS-13 here in the States. Others end up targets of the violence they tried to leave behind. Police and school officials announced they are taking extra precautions to keep students and the community safe. But that hasn't quelled the fears of some.
When I heard this news, I was pretty devastated. So I'm like, who else is going to be next,
For Newsy, I'm Lauren Stevenson.
Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte's volatile reign continues as the South Pacific leader is now threatening to end his country's defense pact with the United States in response to concerns by lawmakers over his deadly drug crackdown in the country. The Philippines-U.S. Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, which was signed in 2014, gives the U.S. military more access to the Philippines without re-establishing any permanent bases. Duterte, who came into power this past June, 2 years after the pact was signed, doesn't seem to have an interest in honoring it. If you Americans are angry with me, then I am also angry with you, Duterte said in a speech Sunday. Tomorrow, I will be friends with Putin and Xi Jinping. Duterte's words are in defense of what he deems are insults and attempts at humiliation on behalf of the United States. Duterte's time in office is less than 4 months old, but has already overseen more than 3,000 deaths as part of his large-scale, state-sanctioned drug war.
Preparations are underway to retake the key city of Mosul north of Iraq. Iraqi forces have reportedly established at least 3 forward bases in the province of Duhok in Iraq's northern Kurdistan region. They have also set up a newer military camp near the Mosul Dam. In recent days, the Iraqi Air Force has also accelerated its airstrikes against Daesh positions at Mosul's doorsteps.
Military operations are underway in several regions on the doorstep of Mosul. Also in the western province of Anbar, we are cleansing logistics nodes leading to Nineveh, which were previously under the control of the terrorists.
Asked whether or not the Turkish forces will play a role in the liberation of Mosul, General Yahya Rasul asserted,
"We don't need assistance from any foreign troops, neither Turkish troops nor troops from any other country. We have enough armed forces from the army, the federal police, counter-terrorism forces, popular mobilization units and tribesmen."
In recent days, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan came under fire for controversial comments he made, claiming Ankara will have a role in the battle for Mosul, which Baghdad has denied. Erdogan has also demanded that Iraq's popular mobilization units be excluded from the key battle.
First, we will surely be in Mosul, and wherever Daesh is, we will be. Secondly, we do not need recommendations and suggestions from anyone. We are committed to the instructions of the Iraqi government and Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces.
The push for Mosul is also expected to coincide with this year's Ashura commemorations, which see the participation of millions annually. As Iraqi forces continue to zero in on Mosul, millions are expected to flock to Iraq from all over the world to take part in Muharram commemorations. And in light of the vacuum plaguing all of the Iraqi Defense Ministry and Ministry of Interior, observers stress Baghdad has one of the biggest challenges ever posed ahead. Altaf Ahmed, Press TV, Baghdad.
Today, Los Angeles Police Department made a decision to release the third-party video taken by a local business of Cornell Snell right prior to the officer-involved shooting that occurred this past weekend. I think there is significant misinformation that has been put out about both the shootings this weekend, and I think that it's important that we put forward information to clarify so that people can put these events, tragic as they are, in perspective.
Stop running from the public. People, every seat here and here
I want to highlight that you know, while we are extremely concerned about the families and the community involved in the officer-involved shootings, we are also extremely concerned about the amount of guns that are out on our streets. You know, the Metropolitan Division, the division that is the home division to two of the officers involved in the shooting, has recovered over 500 guns in 4 divisions of the Los Angeles Police Department this year. The same 4 divisions have suffered 450 people shot, victims shot so far this year. Handguns are far too prevalent, and I think that is something that is important to address here. You know, we want to make the police department as good as it could possibly be. We want to limit the use of deadly force. We want to do all the things that the Commission and I are working towards along with the department. But I think until we address the core issue of violence in our communities, until we address the core issues of primarily young men with guns, we are going to be doomed to this cycle.
But we're not going to fall for that. No. That video, they can release every damn video.
John Kerry's address to the German Marshall Fund conference in Brussels was laced with anti-Russian rhetoric, and the US Secretary of State accused Syrian President Bashar al-Assad of killing his own citizens through the use of chemical weapons and barrel bombs.
You also have the irresponsible and profoundly ill-advised decision by Russia to associate its interests and its reputation with that of Assad.
President al-Assad strongly refutes Washington's claims. Also, many analysts say Russia has done far more in Syria to combat terrorism than the United States, having had considerable success with regards to airstrikes on Daesh positions. During his address in Brussels, Kerry also referred to the Iran nuclear deal, which he played a part in brokering.
Our responsibility now is to ensure that all sides live up to their obligations, and I can assure you that the United States is doing and will continue to do our part.
Kerry also spoke out against certain political movements in the EU, accusing them of using the refugee crisis to tap into xenophobia. It's a point we raised with an analyst.
The kinds of anti-European political movements that are fueled by the perception of uncontrolled migration in Europe, they're not only anti-EU, they're also many of them anti-American. So we're stakeholders in that too.
Kerry's remarks regarding refugees are likely to infuriate campaigners, many of whom have already branded the US hypocritical. Amnesty International has just issued a statement accusing the world's richest nations of turning their backs on Syrian refugees. The latest data from the United Nations would appear to add weight to that criticism. The UN says that in the past 5 years, the UK, for example, has taken in just 8,000 Syrian refugees, while the US has taken in just 12,000. Jerome Hughes, Press TV, Brussels.